Doesn't that opening just get you charged up and started just right? Doesn't it get you in the right moment? Hello, folks. Happy Hump Day. Today's Wednesday. Phil Davis, ancestrylands, ancestrylands.com. I didn't forget my name. I was just taking a pause and a breath there. I was just dancing to the intro a little bit. Well, folks, we got another one coming to you today. I think I have my episodes mixed up. I think today is episode 7 of our podcast live. Ancestrylands, ancestrylands.com is where you can go find property for you to become a landowner. Yes, folks, a landowner for the little price of $1,000 down. You can do financing with no credit checks, no interest. $250 a month. You can go and get yourself some property that you can own, or you can just buy it in cash. We do that too as well. Anyway, folks, we've got a lot of different stories coming to you today. I wanted to talk about just a few things today. I'm going to go over what we're going to cover today, folks. And today we're going to cover. First thing is we have some breaking news right now in the area of Nevada. Anybody might know about the Moonlit Bunny Ranch. There have been HBO specials done on things like that. Apparently, folks, the clapping just ain't that good, or the clapping is so good that some of the workers is taken to clapping themselves. Buck, buck, bang, bang. Bang, bang. One of the employees, who was a former hustler model, was clapping, not clapping cheeks, but clapping coworkers, apparently. And our second story that we'll be talking about later today, folks, is that the F word is flying, where people are saying F them dogs. And we're going to ask a question, should we put a little bit tighter regulations or rules on bringing dogs to the stores? Apparently, at a grocery store, folks, we had someone bring in a dog. And it got to the point, I don't know if the dog was, was spraying the fruit or was in the cleanup aisle licking up stuff, but apparently people have gotten to the point they are tired of people bringing animals into grocery stores. And we're going to ask our audience, is that right? Do you agree with that statement? In other news today, folks, we will be discussing how Mexican authorities have said that the snow bunny season may be canceled for such beach areas for spring break. So please, parents, children, and anyone that might be thinking about going to any beach area in Mexico for spring break, you're on notice that snow bunny season may be canceled. In other news, we're also going to discuss maybe the first cyborg that was based off the DC comic superhero Cyborg. Is it the first cyborg apparently was a black female? Yes, we'll go into that. Little known fact that we'll be talking about later on, folks. And let me close out my screen here and get back to myself, folks. I'm going to remove this here. I am your host, Philip Davis. Thank you for joining me. Today is Wednesday. You're joining Ancestry Lands podcast. Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe. You can also donate to us $, Ancestry Lands, and on Venmo, Ancestry Lands. Cash App on what's on the left screen and Venmo on the right. So, folks, let's get right to it. Today, we're gonna also talk about how Biden has made the surprise visit yesterday, folks. And shout out to the PBD podcast. I'm glad I saw 18 hours ago they were talking about something I did on my show first. Not that I'm the owner of it. I think news should be shared, spread worldwide. But they had talked about what I had spoken about yesterday and the Russia removing themselves from the arms treaty. They said the nukes will be on deck. They're doing that now. China's making a visit, and Biden went to Ukraine on President's Day. One of the biggest things that is going on is East Palestine, Ohio, still has not received a visit, to my knowledge, as of today, from the Biden administration top officials, the president himself. He managed to take Air Force One, which does cost us millions of dollars of tax money, to Ukraine to stand there and say he was going to pledge another $500 million to the Ukraine Society. And East Palestine, Ohio, hold this L. The East Palestine, Ohio mayor, a brother by the name of Trent Black, not Trent Black, Trent Conaway, said Joe Biden is welcome to come to the community while standing by comments he made on Monday night to the president. He was interviewed by Fox News. When he asked if Joe Biden's visit to Ukraine surprised him, he responded, "Yeah, let me just show it up here. You know what? Why not? I'm going to just put this here. Let me just show you, because, maybe the problem is the East Palestine mayor is actually black. I didn't know that. It's a brother. He's a mayor. Here he is here. Here he is, Trent Conaway. said that was he absolutely surprised. I mean, Fox News had him up there that he said absolutely that was the biggest slap in the face. It tells you right now he does not care about us. Again, folks, I'm actually bringing light to this. I don't want to give up not talking about this because if this devastation was in a black community, which is run by a black mayor, most people don't know about that. Also, that there was apparently a Netflix movie that came out talking. That's called White Noise that actually spoke about a train derailment back in the '80s in East Palestine, Ohio. Talk about trippy. Are we living in a matrix? That was covered. But I did want to give a shout out to the PBD podcast for talking about this in 18 hours ago. They put that out. And apparently, we were both talking about it in the same day. So I appreciate seeing bigger podcasts talk about things that I on my smaller podcast have talked about. He said, this is Trent Conaway, a black mayor out in East Palestine, Ohio. I'm going to give East Palestine, Ohio, because basically the administration has just basically just disrespected the American people. $500 million going towards Ukraine. And the reason why I bring this up in total is because I'm going to share with you here on this new screen. And this is why it should matter. It should matter. Is that the Biden administration here? This is actually defense.gov. This is a government website where you can go up here and it tells you about how much money the United States has actually spent on Ukraine. What we have sent them actually has been more Aide Avenger air defense system, 59 Bradley infiltrating fighting vehicles, 59 mine resistant ambush protection vehicles, all artillery rounds, 12 ammunition support vehicles, 6 command port support vehicles, Claymore anti personnel unit, night vision devices, spare parts, and other field equipment. Since in total, and this is just in 1 year, folks, since I guess you would say the anniversary they spoke about, the United States has committed more than 27.4 billion dollars in security assistance to Ukraine, and East Palestine is still not being visited by the Biden administration. He went, more likely flew over or past. He could see, East Palestine, Ohio from up in Air Force One, and he managed to zip line over to Ukraine. Said they're going to give them another $500 million of aid, and East Palestine hold this out. The black mayor, which I would love to see the black community get behind this mayor here, which I'm going to share this screen. Let me stop sharing here and get to this one because this is where the black community should be at as far as when you do have a black mayor that I did not even know East Palestine, Ohio had a African American mayor. His name is Trent Conaway. He says again, this was absolutely the biggest slap in the face that tells you right now he does not care about us. I mean, is this Louisiana, New Orleans happening again? We did it with a Republican president, George Bush. He doesn't care about black people, Kanye said. But again, now you have a mayor, the actual elected government official of East Palestine, Ohio. Where is the black community behind this man here who is caring for? He's a leader in charge of a community. He is responsible for the citizens there. And he has not received one visit from the president, from the vice president, to my knowledge. And he says right here, we don't want to be political pawns. We don't want to be a soundbite or news bite. We just want our lives to go back to living our lives the way they were. And again, where is president on an American disaster that is happening that is going to affect American people all over? The mayor said again, a black mayor. Where is the black community standing up and standing behind? Where is Maxine Waters? Where is Jesse Jackson? Where is Freddie Jackson? Where is Tito Jackson? Where is I'm sorry, I went ahead, folks. But again, I don't want to make I don't want to sound like it that I want to bring some levity to the situation because again, where is the administration when we have American problems? We're sending $500 million and still they haven't once gone, there is a blackout happening. And we wouldn't know about this if it wasn't for Twitter. One thing you could say about Musk is that this stuff is being brought to light and people are having avenues to talk about it. I am using this platform, my platform that I own my own content to bring light because guess what, folks? Please comment or leave comments to me when things are happening in your community that we need to talk about and expose. I will become a voice for those people that are underserved in areas where they feel like they're being left behind. You can always leave a chat, go to YouTube, go to ancestrylands, go in the comment section on these things and talk about what's going on in your communities that you're being left behind by the government officials and the leaders at large, black and white. And the reason why I have a big problem is with this, we're spending 27.4 billion taxpayer dollars on giving aid away outside of the country, and yet we are still suffering inside this country, and we have an ecological disaster going on, and no one seems to go there. We're going everywhere else where we can look like heroes when really we're zeros to the people in our own country. And that's a travesty, folks, a real travesty. I'm sorry, the podcast will be somewhat short today. I do have parent teacher conferences. My wife has the 5-month-old, so I will be going a Black father going to parent teacher conferences for my children. There's a parent teacher conference today in a couple hours, but we got time to talk about certain things. But again, remember, and I want to go back to this one point. Remember, Joe Biden is, and this is so funny because this is what he's notably noticed for saying about America. Right, exactly. And that's why he on President's Day of the United States, he managed to fly over to Ukraine. All the people, Ukraine supporters, where is everybody on Facebook throwing up East Palestine, Ohio flags? Again, I'm not going to make it a racial issue because there are people of all races living within East Palestine, Ohio. But again, I don't understand it. I don't really get it. I don't get it at all. And we're spending $27.4 billion in less than a year. And I mean, apparently Congress approved this, but again, we still have no eyes and ears, no people walking boots on the ground. In East Palestine, Ohio. So East Palestine, I am still continuing on the fight, continuing on the message there. Please share this video so we can get more people talking about it. I mean, this is ridiculous. Folks, in other news, we're going to talk about here that we had actually from the here comes news from Nevada. The apparently Bunny Ranch. You might know about the Bunny Ranch if you're a person as old as myself. Or has come from times such as myself, the Bunny Ranch. That's right, that Bunny Ranch, where I guess where night workers are illegal to be day walkers, such as Blade, where they can be out there. The Bunny Ranch, the Moonlit Bunny Ranch, is now had an issue happening with some bang bang, shoot 'em up right at there. And we have footage of the Bunny Ranch ex-employee, well, now ex-employee. This is her, folks. She has obviously been apprehended. This worker here has been, well, let me see here. Let me bring up the story here so you all can have it per se. I want to make sure here. Nevada authorities have identified former hustler cover model as the woman was arrested Monday. This woman here, folks, with the bunny ears for the Moonlit Bunny Ranch in Monday evening in connection with a shooting at the famous Moonlit Bunny Ranch, the backdrop of HBO's early 2000s Cat House reality series. I can see all the views, all the people coming in now that the first snow bunny that we'll be talking about. Actually, this podcast is going to be covering snow bunnies a lot. So, all you snow bunny lovers out there, we're getting into it. Savannah Henderson, known under her stage name Tierra Tay, faces 4 counts of possession of a felony firearm or a firearm by a convicted felon. She's already a convicted felon, drug possessing, discharging a firearm where others may be in danger, and obstructing a peace officer. They responded to a fight between 2 workers at the brothel. So I guess the issue goes deeper than that. Can we get a little, this is what happened. You took my John, you took my simp, you took my Mark, right? But apparently it got so heated that the 2 co-workers, they ended up getting into a fight at the brothel Monday evening, and 911 was called where they heard gunshots, bang, bang, bang out at 9:37 p.m. No one was injured, but the suspected shooter holed up in a Can we give one more time for John Witherspoon, please? You got to reverse that. bang, 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 bang. She was holed up in a holed up in a room for nearly 3 hours. I'm sorry, 3 hours. It takes. She eventually surrendered to a SWAT team. Listen, folks, what is going on with the Nevada department here when it takes a SWAT team 3 hours to get a a Moonlit Bunny Ranch employee worker out from a room? 3 hours. The 28-year-old, oh, I see what it is. I'll show you an actual real photo of her, folks. Here we go. Here's a actual real photo of her. Here she is here, folks. Let's give her here. Obviously. See her, folks? Even at the times are so hard that they're getting the gunplay is at the Bunny Ranch. That's what it's so hard. I mean, this is crazy. The 28-year-old's bail was set at just over $86,000. It is not clear whether she's posted it or hired a lawyer. They said that she's no threat to the public. Actually, she's a service to the public, if you come to think about what I mean. And it said that the sheriff is asking for anyone with that. I mean, what are you talking about? No one there is going to give you additional information. Most people going there probably don't want to talk to anyone at all. Come on now. I mean, please seriously think this is gonna do something here. She was a former March 2019 cover model for Hustler magazine. Interesting, huh? Very interesting today on this one. Let's get to the dog story here, folks, because this is probably something that I was a former doggy daddy. I had two dogs, rat terriers. My dog Michael, he passed away in 2019, January 2019. I had Michael since I was graduated college. And people are attached to their animals, right? Many people love dogs. I lost my second dog, Dita. She passed away about 2 years ago. She had a stroke, very heartbreaking time. And apparently, there has been a fight in a in one area over a dog being in a grocery store. And again, I'm going to share some pictures here. We're going to go back to the snow bunny picture here, and I'll share a picture of this right here, folks. Is it? And I'm going to ask this question in all seriousness. I want to know, how do you all feel about people bringing dogs into stores? You know, I've been at Target one day, and a woman brought a goddamn what do they call it? The Saint Bernards, the big old Beethoven type dog. She had a big old giant Beethoven dog in Target, just walking through there. Who cares what a race is, right? But you know, she brought a big old Beethoven dog. I thought service dogs had to actually do something in service. This was not a disabled woman. This was not a woman who had any disabilities. She had an actual dog, a Beethoven, I think they're St. Bernards, and into Target just casually. This is cited from Yahoo News, folks. Reddit user u/dog grocery their store throw. You know, am I a blank blank beep beep a hole for asking others if she's wrong for bringing her tiny Yorkshire Terrier? Now, listen, I'm going to tell you something about this. The Saint Bernard is a rescue kind of dog, known in the Swiss Alps for rescuing people under feet of snow. Yorkshire Terriers, and I'm going to attack the Yorkshire Terrier community right now. I'm sorry, but terriers they have terrier in their name. They're known for being barky, aggressive. They're small dogs. This most likely was a handbag dog. And the woman brought her dog in there, and sometimes people now, they just keep them on a leash. She had to make a quick stop in in the store. The woman had taken her Yorkshire Terrier Peanut to the dog park and then to PetSmart on a warm day. She remembered she needed to run to the grocery store to pick up a few items. I mean, the grocery store is a place where there's food in there, food that people are going to consume, right? I mean, I'm just saying this. Is it like, you know, there's some level of that. I mean, and I would love for people to comment and go to the YouTube channel, folks. We love people watching on Facebook. You know, make sure you go to the YouTube channel and give us some love, give us some engagement there. Let us know that you watched the live stream, or if you're watching a live stream, put in a live stream hashtag replay. Let us know that you watched you're watching the recording. So in there, the pet owner brought her dog in a quick stop in the grocery store, doesn't say which grocery store, for 10 minutes when she encountered many angry customers in the produce section. You're bringing a Yorkshire Terrier into the produce section, and more than likely, we've all had the COVID 19 stuff with the spread of germs. She's holding the dog and picking up fruit, right? Now, you sitting there watching her pick up. I'm black, so I'm gonna go with the black stuff. I'm gonna be a little stereotypical right now. She's picking up the seedless watermelon that you had an eye on. You're waiting for her to put it down. But between her picking up and holding that Yorkshire Terrier, you got to see her shuffle between the watermelon and the dog and back and forth. And she's got hands on the dog, switches it to the left, and picks up the watermelon, puts the dog on top. More than likely, you've seen people do this. Put the dog somewhere in an open area. The dog, which, defecates, putting the area where the dog defecates right somewhere in an open section, or maybe on top of a watermelon. I've seen people be that absent-minded, is the word I'm going to use in this aspect. And I'm just trying to figure out, like, she thinks that that's okay. Really? And you're sitting there trying to hold back your tongue over cursing this woman out in the grocery store, and that's what she encountered. A man in his 30s came up to her and told her pets were not allowed in the store, adding that the man was not an employee. And that begs the other question. Do we as citizens, there is a don't get involved. I always tell my kids, mind your business. Things that don't concern you. When you start minding other people's business, you're gonna meet that part where the F around meets the area of find out. The more you F around, the more higher you go up. And you get to that point of finding out, that's how big the drama will be. That's why I tell my kids to just mind your own business sometimes. But it begs to ask the question, because you have a dog sitting on top of zucchini or lettuce, in my case watermelon, where you're seeing this is not happening to me, folks. I'm just seeing this happen more often. Big dogs are lowered to the ground. They're there. The issue is a big dog concern, because you can't walk through the aisle when a person has a German shepherd on their persons on a leash, and they're paying attention, grabbing some lotion for their cracked dry skin, right? So you're trying to figure out, can you go and get cocoa butter, but you got to get past the German Shepherd. And she's barely paying attention, holding on to the leash very lightly. The dog's looking at you. The dog is now looking at you as a threat to his potential owner. And you can't even go down the aisle because you're afraid that the dog might attack you for going to go get some god daggone cocoa butter. You can't even get hydrated for your skin to have nourished skin, cracked dry skin, because she's got a Great Dane in the middle of the aisle blocking you in hydration or moisturized skin. Folks, and this is what you got to say. The dog's looking at you, other dogs looking at you, like when you go down that aisle, this is what the other dogs are looking at you and that lady over there. Exactly. And that's the problem. She's bringing this dog into a grocery store, sitting the dog on top of produce, where another person has the audacity to come in and tell this woman that has a tiny Yorkshire Terrier. They're called terriers for a reason. Anyone knows a small dog, honestly, you got better chances with that Great Dane or that Rottweiler in aisle four, better than you do a Yorkshire Terrier. And I'm not being a Yorkshire terrorist, where I'm being doggy, or I don't even know, what do you call it when a person has issues with dogs or they don't like dog, a doggy phobe. I've owned dogs. I've had rat terriers, and they do bark. They bark viciously even at bigger dogs. The bigger dogs seem to be more calm. And the woman said she apologized for bringing Peanut, the Yorkshire Terrier, into the store, and told the man it was hot outside and bringing a small dog inside was most convenient decision for her to make. He told me to, he gave her the F bomb. He told her to F off and not be a lazy pet owner. The California based lifestyle and etiquette expert, what? Elaine Swan spoke to Fox News Digital about this tense situation. Again, exactly. Offering advice and thoughts. Here's what she had to say. And again, this is Yahoo News, folks. I'm going to remove this one here of this man. Obviously, he is, this is not the gentleman in question here. This is on Yahoo News, folks. Try to bring you good news each day. This is what we're talking about here. I'm going to get down to this story about this lady in Elaine Swan. She's the etiquette expert. They've always got an expert for everything. Everybody's an etiquette expert on everything. First thing, always think about what are the guidelines for establishments. If there's any sign that says no pets, Swan recommends abiding by the rule. Additionally, she advised pet owners to think about how their decision might impact the store. People don't care about that, man. People don't care about that. Have you seen the stories on planes about people bringing giraffes and regular coach seats? They bring in iguanas. I've seen somebody bring bunny rabbits. I mean, I fly a lot. And I'm just wondering, like, where does it end at? And I do want to support mental health. I do want to support people's need for service animals. But it used to be that dogs were there to help people who had physical disabilities or impairments. And now we've gotten to the point. I mean, what's next? You're going to have somebody, and I'm sure somebody's already tried to do it. Shout out to the people out in Dubai and the UAE where they actually have lions and tigers. But again, should we say a lion or a tiger is an actual service animal? You know what I mean? Like, can it get to that point before they decide to make a change? And I mean, does the guy have a point? I don't know. Maybe he has a point. I mean, I'm just looking at it. What are the as you touch a dog is low to the ground. New Yorkshire Terriers in a dog park. Other dogs are doing their business. They're peeing everywhere. The dog's hair is brushing up against it. You're touching the dog by the underbelly, and then you're going around selecting different fruits. Zucchinis, pears, fruits, vegetables that other people they're going to put them back, and then other families are going to go back up and pick them up with the same germs that you've been touching, feeling whether the the round melons were ripe enough. Pardon my French. You know what I mean? Like, there's something to that, and I think it's a discussion that can go both ways. No pun intended. Pause. That, is it right for a person to bring a dog into a grocery store? That I think needs a little bit further discussing. And again, folks, I do apologize. Today's going to be a shorter stream, and that is mostly because I have parent teacher conferences for my children. I have an 8 and 6 year old, fourth and a second grader, and I am going to be an involved father as I always have been. I do encourage fathers to show up at the parent teacher conferences, as I believe fathers do all around America. I believe we don't get enough credit. I believe that is sometimes a dual parent job to be involved, to know what's going on with your children, to be able to speak with your spouse and have open dialogue and communication on the upbringing or educational direction of your children at large. We've covered the bunny ranch one. So Mexican officials here. We're going to get to. We have spring break coming up, folks. Spring break is coming up. Everybody loves to go to Mexico, correct? Everybody loves to hit the beaches. Say the beaches, love the beaches in New Mexico, right? And let's bring up a picture of all the other snow bunnies that plan on being down there. Yes, all you brothers, Mex kids, everybody else that loves to go down there and see snow bunnies on La Playa. Yes, I do a little Spanish there. Snow bunny season may be canceled as Mexican authorities say not so fast. Okay. And our story comes to you by Yahoo again. A Mexican beach town announces, this is being cited by Fox News on yahoo.com, announces a major crackdown amid country's crime crisis ahead of spring break. Now, this may be for your safety there, as most parents do send their unsuspecting college students that they believe are angels that have great respect for their children. They do not know that little Becky is going down to spring break to meet Tyrone's, Jose's, and Dewans and Shaquans and other Chads and Giga Chads to be actually explored and adore at the Explorer fashion. Yes. If you think your daughters are not down in spring break, only tune in to MTV and many of the other areas that have cited how bad things could get in spring break. And they are not the only ones going down there to do it. Mexican authorities in at least one major city have taken steps to improve security ahead of a a busy tourist season and spring break, as high crime remains the chief concern. So again, you may actually, for all the snow bunnies out there, if anyone doesn't know what snow bunny is, it's conferred to a girl of non-color that is particularly like the women that you see on the screen there. Uh-huh. I'm sorry. And they're going down to Mexico for a fun and sun. Exactly. Keyword on the fun. Mexican officials said that we strengthened security with the construction of three filters at point marked by a heat map. Actually, access to Cancun Playa, which means beach in Spanish, del Carmen. So the Cancun Carmen Beach, Tulum Playa del Carmen, and Valladolid Playa del Carmen. All right, as well as Villas del Sol, which is sun, to guarantee safety for the visitors and locals. So again, while Becky's out there looking to get fun in the sun, you need to protect yourself when going to other countries. We've seen actually that some of the dangers come from inside the camp with the Shaniqua Robinson incident down in Cancun, I believe several months ago. She was fatally done in by allegedly some of her actual people that she went down there with. But again, the coastal resort town of Playa del Carmen, which sits roughly 40 miles south of Cancun. Parents, you should be concerned about the security of sending your children off to these spring break towns when there are a crime going on in Mexico. Let me explain something to you parents out there. It is not 1990s. It is not the early 2000s where you could just sit your kids down there. There are real issues going on in other countries. You need to take caution. The movie Taken with Liam Nielsen with all the alleged hair dye and whatever coloring they put in there to make that man look older than he actually was if he was all gray. That movie Taken is real. Okay, you do not send your daughters down there without understanding that they are in danger, because even the Mexican authorities are setting up things to do to protect the tourists down there. They have announced an increased number of patrols from 20 a day to 314 a day, which reflect better security in the municipality. So again, your daughters are in danger. Here we go from the Beckys. The Beckys down there, the snow. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Walking down the beach. The announcement followed the discovery of four deleted people inside a van in the Ijadal neighborhood of Playa del Carmen. So again, it is not safe out there. You need to protect yourself. The passport bros going down there looking to get with these snow bunnies, thinking that they're actually people of the native of the land. Again, you need to protect yourselves. Again, you need to protect yourselves. You need to be on the lookout that actually crime is going up. They've increased from 20 to 314. Law enforcement in the areas proposed and rolled out a number of increased security measures as greater attention shifts to the crime problem in Mexico, which still remains a top tourist destination for many Americans. And part of the problem is that Americans still have an ignorance that we are not marks or people that can become easy victims when we're dealing with these other countries. Folks, I appreciate the people who are watching this live stream. I appreciate the people that are tuned in today. I always do it around lunchtime. Today's hump day. I do it around lunchtime. You know why I like lunchtime? It's not the higher viewing time, but a lot of people are stressed out at their job. There's a coworker that you are tired of, a coworker that you wish would just get fired. There's a coworker that you're working with at the job that you do not want to hear their ish another day, right? And live with your Uncle Phil, I am Uncle Phil, Phil Davis, Ancestrylands. I am here to give you a little light levity, things to talk about. You might be planning a spring break. You might be, bringing your dog into the grocery store. Correct. You might be thinking about what's going on in Ukraine or East Palestine or even in your own community. And again, we're going to talk about things that help you get through your middle part of your day. Things that you can be hopefully entertained, enlightened. This show is not to promote hate or harm. This show is meant to educate and get you through an hour or so or 2 hours of your day, and hopefully you are somewhat entertained along the way. I'm entertained. I hope you're entertained. What does Joe Biden think? Really? Okay. All right. What do you think about that, Scooby? All the dogs out there. I know, right? And again, doesn't matter what you're doing in your day, folks. We're trying to educate you, entertain, enlighten, and talk about some serious topics at the same time. Today, folks, we're going to move into our last segment of our story today. I always like to cite Black inventors, Black innovators, and I always try to do it in a more fanciful way, in a way that brings, a little bit more attention because part of today is we're bored with the old it's kind of boring what people talk about and things like that. But again, I want to bring some historical references, some historical facts, historical um inspiration about things that have happened in our past. And today, I know we've talked about black inventors, black male inventors, and today it's time to give the sisters a shout out, right? When you think that women cannot protect the household, when you think that women were in the house during the 50s and 60s, their job was to just cook and clean, I would disagree. I would say that women were they're doing those things, but they also, it caused a woman, to a black woman no less, who I love because she's the actual she was a nurse too as well. She was an inventor. Shout out to ADT. You've seen what is that, Brink Security. This woman by the name of, where is her name here, I got her here, Marie Van Britten Brown. Marie Van Britten Brown. This is an African American woman, folks. Yes, African American, born in Jamaica, Queens. Queens, stand up. Died in Jamaica, Queens in 1999, no less. She was born October 30th, 1922. Again, she was married to Albert Brown, had children, Norma and Albert Jr. This African American woman, born in Jamaica, Queens, was a black inventor. This is my, I do a lot of, I do some AI work here, folks, and this is what I created as far as my rendition of this woman here. This is an updated model of the woman who created, and you get to it here, folks. She was responsible for creating, she invented the video home security system. And again, she was a nurse and an innovator. The video home security system, ring, doorbell, you owe, again, black women, here's your legacy. Marie Van Britten Brown. She was born October 30th, 1922. Again, are we learning about her in school? Absolutely not. Despite Ring being popularized as it is, again, she was the one in 1966. She was 44 years old. She invented the video home security system. Female. This is probably where the idea of DC Cyborg came from. But again, we had to make it a man, even though it was woman. I am calling for DC to change Cyborg into a black woman, not a black man. It should be the actual name should not be what is his name, Stump Stone or whatever else. It should be Marie Van Britten Brown. I'm going to give you a movie now for a cyborg played as an actual woman who invented the video home security system in 1966. She's actually was a nurse, so she was a mom and she was a nurse. Shout out to the nurses out there. Shout out to the nurses out there. I'm a nurse too as myself. This woman invented a video home security system, meaning that nurses, you should be inspired to do much more than just toll away, making pennies on the dollar for getting the companies we work for, hospitals work for, billions of dollars, all through the COVID-19 relief that they've gotten, right? She invented the video security home security system along with her husband Albert Brown. So again, black man, black woman working together. He was an electronics technician. In the same year, they applied for a patent for their innovative security system. This is a woman who also was a wife, a homebody person. At times, she worked as a nurse. Her and her husband from Jamaica, Queens. Queens, stand up. Queens in the building, right? 50 Cent's from Queens. Who else is from Queens? Irv Gotti, LL Cool J. We're known for more than just hip hop, folks. She was granted in 1969 the patent for the video home security system. So again, folks, let's just do a DC mock-up draft for a movie on Cyborg, the real Cyborg, Marie Van Britten Brown. Her and her husband, Albert Brown, are working late night in the garage. It's a rainy, electrical storm, electricity, thunderstorm, and that night. Reports on the news as they're working hard at night, trying to come up with a way for this video system, right? They're working in there. Albert is trying to test out his new electronic platform to get the video system working up. And unbeknownst to Marie Van Britten Brown, Albert is trying to turn on the system, but Marie is touching the electronic equipment. At the same time, an electricity or thunderbolt comes down through the wiring in the ground up into the garage and supercharges that actual electrical system that Albert Brown has set up. This electrocutes or electrifies Marie Van Brittan Brown as she melts away into the actual home monitoring system. She then actually morphs into the point of taking on the electronic components, becoming the cyborg. DC, here's your movie here. This is your movie here, folks. Black woman as the cyborg. I actually created an AI creation of what she would look like in her actual Justice League form here. I have to take the banner off here so you all can see. This is her, my Maria Van Brittan Brown, as the cyborg character that should be on. We need more female representation. We actually have a woman here that it should be the real original cyborg. This is what should be based off for. We're not eliminating male characters. We're actually giving credit to actually a real black woman who created a video home security system, and this is the woman who should be cyborgs replaced off of. DC, I just gave you an actual movie to start on. For those people coming in, we talked about how actually you got the mother box with DC. This is an actual way to create a real life way of, and she's out there fighting racism in the United States in the 1960s and 70s. Real racism before she joins up with Superman and Wonder Woman and the rest of the Justice League. Now you have two female Justice League's members in there, and it could be an actual real historical woman who created a video home security system. This is a real woman here. Born in Jamaica, Queens, folks. I'm reading the article now. And this is exactly how we can create a real, not a superhero, a real person who is a hero that happened to be super. Mother, married woman, Albert Brown helped in that. And I said, anyone watching again, DC, here's your script. Let me help you write a good character development script. I'm a nurse. She's a nurse. Great, good. Black woman born 1922. During the time, again, where we crossing over into where Bass Reeves he almost died. Lewis Latimer was in the scene here. All of these people been here. Frederick McKinley Jones. We talked about him yesterday. The real Mr. Freeze. All right. For all, what is that? Black Sands Comics. I'm actually giving you all content here of real black people who actually invented things that can be based off of real characters from DC that are actual real people in life that invented things that these characters are made from. This woman created she invented, her and her husband, the video home security system. This is your real cyborg here. And I'm going to give you the origin story. They are working in their 1960-something garage during a powerful electrical storm. Albert, her husband, is an electronics technician. They are working on this during the nights when she is not, daylighting as a nurse. The electrical storm, this is real. This is for you, DC, to fix your declining or whatever you've got going on there. If you can't, Marvel, pick it up. This is real character development. As they're watching on the news about all this oppression, what's going on with Dr. King, as Albert is testing out and turning on the electricity to run the video home security system, Marie is still touching the actual security system, the electrical components, the circuit unit of this actual electrical components as she's looking at the TV of King march or get arrested. As Albert switches the flick, the electricity or the thunder lightning comes down, hits the system at the same time, electrifying Marie Van Brittan Brown. This is obviously a fictitious story, but it's a dang sure better one than what we have from DC now, in my opinion. Marie is still touching the electronic system. She is electrocuted. Part of her hand and the electrical system merge together. Her body is starting to absorb the electrical system. As Albert tries to take or turn the electrical system off, the lightning is still striking and coursing through her as she becomes digitized and more machine than woman, turning her into cyborg. In the same year, this is in real life now, in the same year they applied for the patent, 1969, which was granted. All the time, this is granted during segregation and high tension racial times. Again, black community, another day for eliminating your excuses. Excuse me, if anyone wants to talk about Black History Month, please let me know where I can go and talk about this, and I can work with any comic book creator. Black Sands, I'm talking to you. They're looking for writers. I already have your content here on my channel. I already gave you Mr. Freeze. I already gave you Dr. Light, Lewis Latimer. I already gave you pretty much the Batman or would be the Lone Ranger, the Batman as Bass Reeves. I'm not saying they're DC characters, but again, that's your script there. All these people either died or were born around the same time period in the early 1920s. In the black community, again, I'm going at you. We're still making excuses despite this woman being a nurse. She had a job as being a nurse, a healthcare worker. I am still a practicing nurse. And she still created a video home security system showing again that they had skills. And she did it while having a husband and a family. Queens, New York, stand up. This is your hero right now standing up. This is Cyborg recreated, reimagined by Philip Davis on Ancestrylands. This is your new superhero. Again, her idea expanded beyond just security for those at home. Her ideas can be seen with security systems and businesses all around the world. She was born in Jamaica, Queens, New York. She died there in 1999. I graduated I went to Wagner College, and she died in when did she die? February 2nd of 1999. I went to Wagner College in Staten Island, New York, of September or late August of 1999. Again, Maria Van Britten's Van Britten Brown's. I'm going to read it here. I'm going to stop sharing this, and I'm going to actually present you the Wikipedia of her, because I think this is important again, folks. Again, I'm talking about actual history, actual people that created things that we are using now in society, and they matter. They're here before the Jesse Jacksons, the Martin Luthers. They were innovating and inventing things at a time where systematic oppression, racism, everything was at its highest. And they did not make excuses. And I managed to actually give it again. And I swear I want to keep this video up, because again, I'm actually giving black creators content. If you want to, got to reach out to me, because I still want some money for creating this one here. Every black inventor that I've given you actually can be a person that could become their own superhero. We do not need to keep taking or trying to recreate what do they call diverse superheroes by recreating them under their white predecessors. You actually have black creators, inventors right now, right here, that you can create your own superhero from. And I'm actually giving you exactly historical data and reference where they could be educated for the black community. Why are our superheroes not those people? You can make a mythology created about it, but again, why would it not be that entertaining to black folks here? Black says, I'm not coming at you. I'm just talking to you about actual ideas from black actual inventors. I plan on doing my own series on talking about the journey and exploits of all these black inventors. What do you think, folks? Should I create a YouTube channel doing my own storyline and work of what's there, to show that Marvel doesn't need to make Iron Man a black girl to give us cookies in the black community, to give us representation? We don't need representation. We need ownership. We need to create. We need to be innovative and have ideas. I just came up with that garage story right there, that backstory right there in my own head right now. That tells black people we can be creative. We need to stop making excuses once again. And I just came up with that right there. I'm sorry. We don't need what's his name? Zack Snyder. We don't need John Johns. We don't need John Johns did Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy. We don't need James Gunn. We don't need them to come up with great storylines for who black superheroes could be based off of. But again, We got to change Tony Stark into a little black girl in order to give us representation so we can feel like we're dominating over someone else instead of creating our own pathway. If I did it, why can't you? I'm just a nurse and a guy who sells land with a YouTube channel to live stream. Why can't other people do it? This is black women should be proud of this woman when we're talking about Women's Day or Black History Month. This woman created a home security system that businesses are using all around the world. Where are we talking about this black woman in history? She had success innovating in the innovation field, well as her mother. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about her daughter here. I'm going to go back to this. Her idea expanded beyond the security for those at home. Her idea originally was for a home video home security system. Shout out to my fam out in VA. All y'all with security systems. When I walk up, it whistles. Y'all still act like I still got to knock on the door when y'all know I'm at the front door. Just making sure it's me. Her idea can be seen in security systems and businesses all around the world. Is this saying black people created everything? No. This is saying that again, we're not told about the people who invented and patented things that should be given credit to. I've never even heard of her. I had to look her up and I'm teaching you about her. If you knew about her, great. Then you should be liking this video and commenting on the fact that I'm talking about someone that you heard of that I don't hear any school talk about, including black ones that I went to as elementary school. She lived, okay, this place may exist. I'm going to shout out her address at the time before she passed. She had married an electrician, married. Again, black women, she was married to a man named Albert Brown. He was an electrician, which means that man had a source of employment, which means that man had a set of skills. She wasn't doing bad by herself. She wasn't an independent woman. She was a woman who had a husband who was capable and qualified. Again, she had a husband who was capable and qualified, which means she brought something to the table, but so did he. They lived at 151-158 and 135th Avenue in Jamaica, Queens, New York. Queens, stand up. She worked as a nurse and her husband was an electrician, so they did not always have normal hours or simultaneous work, which means they still made it work, even though they sometimes didn't see each other or had different hours. Did they argue? More than likely, but they stayed together. And when it came time for her to do something, she wasn't discarding her man. Hell, his electrician technical skills came in and added value and helped her to create the first video home security system. So again, when you want to go and talk about ADT and Brinks and all these other security firms having video security systems to keep blacks out, no, it was invented and patented by a black woman and her husband who was helping her create the first video home security system, which they got a patent and she's credited with inventing, and it's all over the world. Anytime you can look on the screen and see an intruder or anyone walk through a door on a security monitor, this woman is the reason why that technology exists today. Was she successful at first? No, and we'll explore that. And again, this is what I'm talking about in the legacy component, all right? She had two children, a boy named Albert Jr. and a girl named Norma. I hope they're alive today. I want to say thank you to you and your family, the Brown family, for your parents being a legacy not talked about in the world that we should be talking more about. Thank you, Albert Jr. and Norma and the Brown family entirely for your contribution to making sure that anyone can see on a security monitor system in their own house or Ring doorbell that is directly attributed to the Brown family themselves. They had a girl named Norma. Norma followed in her mother's footsteps. Again, this is a black woman. She didn't get a government check. She didn't get a PPP loan. She didn't get anything. It was her and her husband thinking and working together as parents with not normal hours and simultaneous work. They had to make it work as a black family. They had their own set of hardships and a marriage. She became a nurse and an inventor. just like her mother. Strong mothers create strong daughters, not independent. I don't need no end, bad babe, bad bitch, whatever. That's not what she created. She created another inventor, not a girl that's following Kardashian trends. That's what real mothers create. Not thoughts that want to twerk or say, I'm independent. This woman created something that was useful to the world. She had success. Her daughter had success in the innovative field as well as her mother and had over 10 inventions. She may not have been her mother, but she was just like her mother. Brown died on February 2nd, 1990 at the age of 66. I'm sorry, 76. The home security system. Due to the fact that she was a nurse and her husband Al was an electrician, they had irregular work hours, and often the work hours would not overlap. This would lead to many nights where Marie was left alone in her home at night. The crime rate in her neighborhood was high. That sounds familiar. Another black neighborhood that has high crime rate, and she was left alone. And inspired by the prolonged length of time it took for police to arrive to her neighborhood, she did something about it. She invented the first home security system. Even then, in the whatever the 60s, mid to late 60s, the response time for police was a problem. At the time, she was 40 years old. Wasn't a young 20 tenderoni. She was 40 years old. When Marie and her husband first came up with their security system, their invention consisted of 4 peepholes, a sliding camera, TV monitors, and microphones. The cameras could go from peephole to peephole. They were connected to TV monitors inside her home, and using those TV monitors, Marie could see who was exactly at the door, ring, sound like anybody, ring, without having to physically be at the door and without having to actually open the door. Sounds like a ring camera to me. Did anybody know this? Does Ring do their does Ring give do any of these companies do anything for the Brown family for being the innovators and inventors of the technologies that are there? Does the Brown family have to pay taxes for creating something for the world? This is Ring. Your Ring camera is directly attributed to a black woman and her husband, a black man, who invented and created this, starting out using in their own areas. The husband had to work. The wife was left at home for prolonged periods of time. The police did not get there in a short enough time to respond to crimes in a heavy crime area in a black community. At 40 years old, she had the wherewithal to say, husband, you've got skills. She married a man who had skills. Yes, he had a job, but he had skills. And what did they do? They invented something outside of their work job, trading hours of their time for dollars and money. And they did not have a 9 to 5, everybody get off and have dinner work schedule. They made it work. A black family, a black woman who created. She's basically the grandmother or the foremother of the Ring system or any security system used by all companies in this world. They weren't looking at a skin color then. She wasn't too black enough or too white enough for them to look at the color of her skin. Her invention, her skill, her contribution, her husband's skills, they worked together. And after that, they created something that now the world use. I would even dare say, even your mobile phone that's connected to the Ring system, these people created the first in Jamaica, Queens, no less, the first video home security system. And again, I'm going to go back over it in case some people came in and missed it. The cameras were connected to TV monitors inside her homes. Sound like a ring to me? They used those TV monitors. She could see exactly who was at the door without having to physically be at the door. Sounds like Ring to me. Was Ring a new invention? No, it was already created back in the 1960s. And we don't learn about it. We're still not told about it. We're told that we're less than, that we're being oppressed, that we're being inequity. We don't have upward mobility. No, what we have is a lack of skill and a lack of willingness to work together within a family unit or a community at large. And every day I keep bringing up more Black inventors to give more Black people less excuses on why they cannot be more productive. Let me say it again. I keep bringing up more Black inventors, innovators, creators, people who during the time where there was more economic oppression, more racism, more everything against Black people, where again, these people created something and they still, when are Black people going to stop making excuses on the lack of productivity, the lack of selecting a qualified mate? This man was an electrician. He worked with her on helping to create the actual video home security system. And again, she got the patent in 1969. The patent was granted by the government. The government, for all you ignorants out there, it was granted by the government. And again, their world, they wanted the technology. When Blacks create things of value, people tend to want to buy into it. And 4 days later, the New York Times, yes, that New York Times, ran an article about her invention. They didn't hide it. They didn't put it anywhere else. 4 days later, December 2nd, 1969, which would be December 6th, 1969, the New York Times ran an article about her invention. And businesses everywhere use them. And I know, again, every time I get to this part, so help me God, every time I get to this part, we have the biggest significant drop off. This should be the time where there is the most people watching during the stream. When we get to talking about how you can stop making so many damn excuses for you being basically trying not to do anything to better your life, but talk about how the government oppresses you, where you constantly make decisions each day. To all the Black mothers out there, this is something that you need to teach your daughters and your sons on how to look for someone who actually went to work in life and built skills. This woman didn't have a Harvard degree. She was a nurse. And she saw that her husband was gone at work, no less. At nighttime, she was left alone, being a mother to her 2 children, no less. The police could not get there in time, no less. And what did she do? She developed the system, and her husband helped. They worked together to create this system where she would never have to go to the door to see who was there. And this now, today, we know this as the ring system. I'm not saying Ring stole any ideas. I'm just saying that this invention was the predecessor to the technology that's been innovated to the point of now having the ring that you use on your cell phone. Now, again, everybody could talk about me and say many things, but I'm talking about a Black female inventor, which should be the DC cyborg, or where can the Black creators, when you want to talk about Marvel and representation, why is this not representation? Why are our characters not created on someone else's thing? Why is it Blacks can't use Blacks from our actual history to create Marvel or DC characters? Why do you need to change Captain America? Why can't you find them in your own damn history? Because this woman seems like she could have been Cyborg to me. Bass Reeves seems like he could have been Batman to me. Lewis Latimer could have been Dr. Light to me. Frederick McKinley Jones could have been Mr. Freeze to me. I'm just using those names because they're known comic book characters. Why is it our Black creators cannot create people from actual Black inventors that you can simply Google and look up? And I'm a nurse. I gave you the story on how to create this backstory for this person here. And it could have been right in there in the 1960s that this came from. And again, I'm wondering why it is that we keep making the excuses on how someone else is holding us down. And I keep showing evidence after evidence after evidence of more Black people creating stuff during earlier times, not when we're living in now, not when we're getting PPP loans, not when we're getting handouts and more government assistance, affirmative action, and everything else in this planet to help us get ahead. And we still have excuse after excuse after excuse. Do you know how big TVs were back then? I'm taking a moment to pause, tell everyone to go ancestrylands.com to buy property. You need to build your own ownership. Do I care if you're Black, white, Puerto Rican? No, I have serviced everyone. I care about people and their story, people who want to own. You'd be surprised how many Hispanic people I've sold property to that want to own something for their children. They have the same stories that I hear African Americans have when they want to look to their children. I'm speaking about the productive African Americans that actually want to leave something for their family and children. They have had the same story as every white father I've seen and spoken to in their own household. Shout out to the Van Cotts up in Staten Island that have been concerned about the future of their children. The same mothers that are Hispanic, that are Black or white that I've sat doing and been on the phone with who have been interested in the property, thinking about their children's future. They wanted to own land, own something for themselves, for their children to leave behind from all walks of life. And they were willing to buy from a Black man and his wife, from a Black man as I saw first, regardless of my color of my skin. I wasn't too Black enough or too white enough for them. I was just right because I was talking about ownership. And they were interested in buying land in New Mexico, Colorado, and California. They wanted to buy from someone who actually put his money where his mouth is. Not someone who was going up there to look for big old people, like Grant Cardone or whatever else to get a buzz for them. And then turn around and flip what I'm talking about. He's a culture vulture when you had him on your daggone show. You told everybody to go out there and go buy from him then, but he's not good now because he had something to say about Blacks. Now we just switch it up now. Back to victim mentality. Back to victim mentality again. Instead of standing on it, what do? You fall in line like everybody else, and now he's the bad old white guy. You knew what he was doing beforehand, but you wanted clout, didn't you? Y'all know who I'm talking about, man. And you're going to go blame him. One thing I have to say about Grant Cardone, he actually, you can be mad at what he said, but what he did was he actually told you his perception of what he saw of the Black community. He actually spoke on it. You can say what you want to about it, but again, when you look on TV, when you see our culture on TV, again, why does he not have a point? What do we show him about our culture? Are we showing him doctors and lawyers? Are we showing him Marie Van Britton Browns? Are we showing him Black women who have created things, invented? Are we showing him things like I said, Lil Wayne pouring champagne on a cell phone, talking about, this is good? Or we see all the foolish and nonsense going on with our people. Again, but we're not showing him inventors. We're not educating our people on inventors. We're not creating comic books on regular people who were actually inventors to educate people in life. We're too busy trying to chase Captain America, who's a fictional character. Batman is a fictional character. We got a real Batman in Bass Reeves. We've got a real cyborg here and Marie Van Britton Brown, who created a home video security system. Why can't she be our cyborg? I want to know. Why is Ludus Latimer can't be Dr. Light? Why is that? Why can't we create superheroes from our own daggone history? Instead of complaining about why don't they change to make Iron Man look like us? Why does he have to look like us? We already got our own people in here. We got Black inventors who did 60, 10 plus patents and inventions. Why we got our own Iron Man. We got our own Tony Stark. It's not that Tony Stark, but again, know your daggone history, folks. And you're mad at some man up there saying, from his perspective, this is all he sees up there about us. We want gold chains. We want platinum watches. We want wrists. Every rapper up there got to wear 14 different platinum chains. Why is one not enough? You shout out to Waka Flocka, who's actually talking about investments and things that can uplift an actual community. Shout out to Alex Coombs up in New York with About You, that's actually trying to get students to stop focusing on trying to be the next daggone Kobe Bryant that don't have the work ethic that he does. We love to talk about Mamba mentality, but again, everybody ain't got Mamba activity or practice. Mamba activity or practice. Are they going to the gym the first and the last to leave? No, they're not. This woman here, she had a patent in the 1960s on home security systems. And again, the legacy. Again, I always talk about land ownership and leaving a legacy. And again, what is this a legacy? It ain't a 401k, folks. It ain't you getting a college degree. Which again, that's what people love to hang on their walls. But again, when you see their activity in life, their choices do not reflect their education. When we pick our partners, we don't ask questions to qualify them for our eggs nor our seed. Men and women, we don't teach our children to ask those questions or train them or raise them to understand their value. The woman's value in her eggs should be for the highest qualified mate. Hell, even animals got this figured out. The men got to fight or do something to show that they are qualified for the women to want to mate with them. And that goes for most species. And we still here are making excuses. We still are giving up our wombs to people who are not qualified. They didn't have an outcome when you met them, and they won't have an outcome after they drop a baby in you. And for the men too, if you're a qualified man, why are you not making that woman be qualified for you? Okay, she got a degree, and you got a degree, and what are you doing in life? What are your thought processes? What are your plans? What is your education? What is your financial literacy? What do you know about inflation? A woman should be saying, hey, if I have a baby, can this man support and provide and protect for me? A lot of men out there, a man's job is to provide and protect. Well, men, you ain't doing a damn thing about providing and protecting, being low lives, making excuses on why you can't get somewhere in the world, get somewhere in the world in life. If you're blaming anyone else for your failures in life, then I don't think you're qualified for the woman that says that she's choosing you. Women, you should be walking away from those men. Black, white, Puerto Rican, Hispanic, green, Martian, alien, I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're Yautja. You shouldn't qualify for that. Women should demand men have a plan. Men should be presenting plans on how we are going to be successful as a family. If you choose me, here's how I am going to be successful, and I'm going to fail, get rich, or die trying. But again, we see all these TikToks about people talking about, I want a hustler. I wanted hustlers go to jail. That's where they go. They either go to the feds or they are the feds. I mean, how many retired drug dealers do you see out in the world? How many retired mob bosses do you see out in the world? How many retired gangsters know they actually end up dead or in jail? Everybody knows it, but they still want it. We're talking about Marie Van Britten's legacy. And again, what you have is more people adopting the uniform of the lesser society, talking about, I'm a boss. No, you're not a boss. A boss will influence communities in the positive way. A boss will be a leader of men or women of whatever their sex is and their race in their communities. You have people who are resourceful or can be used as a resource to you and others around you. You have a network. I mean, I'm giving you some of the blueprints right now in my own existence. Alex Coombs, Don Coombs, Avon, the people who are employed in my business. Kevin McLemore, people who I've talked to, who I've been on their shows, people who are doing stuff in communities. I'm shouting out names right now because, again, you need a network of people who can get things done. Don Coombs at CM, where they're doing STEM. Alex Coombs and About You Outreach. Avon, ex-NFL player, teaching people about game, real game. And he's married too. And we're not talking about alpha man should provide and protect. What does that look like, men? What does provide and protect look like? And I'm asking the men because, again, the women should be asking that question when they say these eggs are available. When you go to scramble up these eggs and you hit the bottom of my cervix, I want to know what's your plan beforehand. Is anybody asking those questions? Is anyone asking those questions, those tough questions? When he come there with his pants sagging and he's got all the gold teeth in his mouth, or he's got whatever change or chains hanging from his neck, what is his plan? Back to Marie Van Britton Brown's legacy. Everybody talks about all these buzzwords, ownership, Black Wall Street, this, and this. But you know what Black Wall Street had? Business owners. They didn't have hoodlums. They had business owners, people who had skills, people who had networks, people who were resourceful and or had resources, and more than likely people who were married. I'm sorry, that word again may cause you to feel some kind of way in the back of your head, or hate in your heart, or but your veins may be boiling with blood. There were communities, and communities starting with families. They were educated people who were resourceful to the people around them, just like Frederick McKinley Jones, we talked about yesterday, the real Mr. Freeze. And they left legacies that their widows and family members live on today to be proud of, and they're used by not only local communities, but that in the world. Yes, yes, the world. That means white, Asian, and other African communities can benefit from the legacies or the inventions created by these Black African American inventors. Yeah, you can see I'm cooking now. When my voice goes deep, I'm starting to get into the cook. And we might even burn it down tonight. I've got less than an hour until I got to be the parent teacher conferences, folks. And that's the one thing I'm talking about. I'm giving you no room for excuses. No room for excuses. We want handouts, government assistance. The government granted this woman a patent. She was in the New York Times 4 days later. December 6th. Where is it at? And guess what? It never stops there, folks. The inventions never stop there. The patent was granted by the government. You know those white oppressors blacks like to talk about? These same ones granted the patent to another person of color. She was getting patents when Frederick McKinley Jones was getting patents. They were getting patents together. He won the Medal of Technology. She was actually the first home security system, folks. December 6th, 1969, she was featured on the New York Times, no less. Major news article. During that time, the papers was the it. That's essentially going viral on World Star back in 1969. This Black woman and her husband, African American people from Jamaica, Queens, their article was featured about her invention in 1969. And again, we're not creating superheroes from this. I've already given you Batman. I've already given you Dr. Light. I've already given you Mr. Freeze. And now I'm giving you Cyborg. Real Black superheroes with good origins that you could talk about. Hell, Bass Reeves got a story. He could have been a Black version of Wyatt Earp. He could have been a Black, older Western version of Batman. No one's talking about Bass Reeves. He's got tons of stories that could be created off. Great character talking about a Black man who you could argue and say, this man really did it. He was really about that life. Lewis Latimer, Mr. Light, is the reason why your light bulb don't burn out in 20 minutes. Frederick McKinley Jones, yes, this is your history. And again, you'll never see this segment have thousands of views because we are more invested in ignorance than we are intelligence. We are more invested in ignorance than we are intelligence. We rather see Steve Harvey, no shout out, no shot to Steve Harvey. We rather see Steve Harvey come up there and look at people for saying stupid answers than educating our own stupid behinds on things that people done in our history. So when you go up to the government, and go complain about Black people not getting this, and this, I'm going to refer you back to these people who actually created and did stuff for the actual population at large, the world population, who had patents and yes, they still had segregation. Yes, she still had problems with police not responding in the neighborhood, but they still built something and did something about it. And guess what? We have her here talking about legacy. Now, how's that for Black history? And again, I'm talking about it because you need to be educated about it. And for all the people that have a short attention span, I'm gonna give you something else here that it can give you on my creation because I use AI for this. All right. This is what she would look like if she was depicted as a cyborg. This is AI art that I created. This is Marie Van Britton Brown as cyborg in my idea creation. Black Sands, where are you at? This is your character right here to start with. This is a black actual woman born in October 1922. This is post actual. What are we talking about? That is what about less than 60 years away from the free of slaves, right? 1865 Emancipation Proclamation, right? For all you people out there talking about Black history, we go right to Black Wall Street, then we jump right back to Africa. We missed the homies and all the other Moors that were bring slaves over. We skip past all that history. We stop right back on colonization or colonial white people enslaving blacks. We skip past all the good parts because we only want to get to the highlight reel of all the suffering and pain. But this is my creation of what I think Marie Van Britton Brown will look like as an actual superhero. And I've already given her backstory for people who could go back and watch. And this is going to be her when she is actually in whatever league form, when she's in her battle mode. This is what I'm talking about. Why can't we give Black superheroes this kind of creation? And you got AI that can help you. I'm a nurse. I just came up with this last night or 2 nights ago. As I learned about another person who got patents, invented stuff, and her children, her legacy left behind, followed in the footsteps. The daughter Norma followed in the footsteps. Folks, donate to Ancestrylands on Cash App, $Ancestrylands, and Venmo Ancestrylands at Ancestrylands, folks. The reason why I say this all the time is because your donations help the show. They really do. Your comments, engaging in content, it really does help the show. We're going to go back to finish up on the legacy. Marie Van Britton Brown's invention of her home security system had a huge impact on the security systems in place as a whole. Her idea was extremely, extremely innovative. It was her initial idea that allowed people, again, this whole thing about, the government and all of this oppression, her invention, the government saw use and it helped people. That means it went all the way to the businesses out to Africa, the businesses in China, everywhere else it helped. Her initial idea that allowed people to build upon that idea. I don't know if she had an LLC or any IP. We talked about that yesterday, about what is IP for all the business people out there saying that everything was stolen when, again, you have to have a patent on it. Look it up, folks. To build upon the idea and to create a system that we still see today. 1969. In 6 years, that will be almost 60 years ago that she got the first patent, and this system was built upon, improved, and innovated upon. Said Bader Winwa says that if you have a home security system protecting your home, you have Marie Van Britton Brown. Black women, where are you at supporting this video? To think. She has revolutionized. A Black woman has revolutionized, and I get it. This goes against the whole women don't have the same rights, even though her having a Black man. Black women, stop taking on the white woman's talking points when you're talking about being oppressed. Black men have been right by your side since the beginning. She has revolutionized the entire security system. And this quote means that all security brands such as ADT. Now, I didn't read this. Beforehand. I just read the initial because she was selected from my choice of people who to pick. And I talked about this earlier, and Lord help me, it's coming up. This quote means that all security brands, let me say it again for you people, all not Paul Wall. All security brands such as ADT, Ring, and more all have to her to thank for her initial idea of the video home security system. I have sisters that have the Ring security system. They can be up here in Pennsylvania and still check down who's at their door in Delaware. How many Ring security systems have helped save lives of many people in the communities at large? This woman's legacy has also attributed to the lives she saved. Brown's initial idea, and again, I'm going to read that back over again because I don't think that's hidden, right? Again, every person out there does or does not know. And again, to the white community at source, all you racist people out there that want to look at all the bad parts, to the Grant Cardones out there that have stuff to say about the black community, you need to break it down in simple terms. No, this right here shows you that your security, your protection was built upon the idea of a black person, a African American husband and wife. The husband helped hook up the electronics and the wife put everything in place because she was being left at home because her husband was out working. She did something about it. And again, you do need blacks. You do need African Americans because we are inventives. We are creators. We are innovators. The only problem is with the gap or the problem in here is we have the kryptonite called excuses because we want to blame everything up there. And again, you got black leaders up here all the time telling you why you can't instead of telling you why you can. Shout out to my dad for that one. He told me, boy, I only thing I hear around your mouth is can't. And my dad called me boy because I'm his son and my parents are from the South. He said, boy, I didn't listen to you talk. This when I was a kid. And I can't do this, dad. And I can't do that, dad. And I can't do this, dad. And again, he said, boy, I haven't heard you one time tell me why you can do something. You haven't even tried. He said, you are a defeatist in your mindset because you have not even tried. This is his way of saying the same way of saying those who fail to try, or those who actually, what did they fail to try? Black people rather fail to try than try and fail. And the whole point is we've been doing this all along. We've been creating things that everyone's been using all along, and they still don't know about it. It's Brown's initial idea has continued to be used to help people, not destroy communities, help communities. Help communities, help people is continue to be used to help people around the world feel safer and more secure inside their homes. We love Scarface, don't we? With Al Pacino, right? When he's sitting in there with all those TV screen monitors, he sees all those people run up. Well, guess what? Even though the ending, we know how it is, that technology that everyone loves have made millions, that have galvanized Al Pacino in there. The one thing he had was a security system that helped him out. This was because of a black woman. Black women stand up and look at the women before you that have come and not making any excuses. She was married. She had children, and her daughter, another black woman, went on to create inventions of her own while still being a nurse too. All the nurses out there saying I need to work more overtime. No, you need to sit down, create a business, develop skills, and learn to invent something. And maybe you too can try and fail to become successful and leave a real legacy. I always tell people all the time, I have an employee number at my job. When I'm gone, they don't care. They come in and replace it. And eventually someone will take that same exact employee number. The jobs you are a number. If you have an employee ID number, you are a number here that will be traded out the moment you're gone. Continuing on. She was recognized in the New York Times and received an award from the National Science Committee for her work. And again, legacies are meant to outlast your lifetime. Land is meant to outlast your lifetime. Many people, especially in areas if they're old enough, have seen areas change, but what does not change is the ground underneath any building or any land that now is being developed on. which is why you should go to ancestrylands.com to buy property to own. Even if you are not going to build on it, you still can hold on to it and pass it on to your children. And who knows, in the future, someone may want to come buy it. Someone may want to come build on it. Your children may want to build on it. They may create a business or create a business facility that is now being operated in areas that you once thought were not worth it. Ancestrylands.com. No credit checks, no interest, $1,000 downs. That's standing on every property, big or small. Do you have to build on it right away? No. How much of the taxes? $200 a year. That's it. Buy and hold, folks. Unfortunately, Marie Van Brittan Brown died before she could see new innovations added to her invention. But her impact will never be forgotten. Hopefully, because ADT's not talking about her. Ring's not giving you a pamphlet when you buy the Ring network. They're not giving you any pamphlet on the history of video home security system. And again, where are the Black communities talking about young Black women be more like Marie Van Brittan Brown? Not like Kim Kardashian. Not like whoever else can't spell or read, or whoever else is showing their booty, and that's all they have to offer. We should strive to be creators, inventors, just like Marie Van Brittan Brown. And you know why nobody wants to say that? Because it doesn't promote being sexualized, be objectified. Unfortunately, Marie Van Brittan Brown died before she could see, or passed away before she could see, the new innovations to her invention. Imagine her pride and joy in seeing something that she created being adopted by the world at large. Every Mission Impossible movie, every crime detective movie, every thief movie, every movie that had someone with a security system where they could see someone else in there, this woman as the legacy of being the creator about it. You need to tell your children where they really come from. All these pro-Black programs that end up lying to our own community, they don't talk about real history of people who are building and using things that you use every single day. And you're hearing it here on this network, folks. Any security system, right here we go. Any security system, whether it be traced back to homes, businesses, or even banks, can all be traced back to her invention. Home security businesses expect to be a 1.5 billion dollar business, and it's expected to triple in 2024. And the one thing that I'm going to say about this is the reason why I talk about building a business, an LLC with the EIN, and I'm going to connect it to this issue right now, because when she has the patents, we'll go into why patents matter. Because I believe when you have a patent, there is a certain amount of money that you get off the technologies that are creating that, again, will be inherited by your legacy, your family before. This is how you create real wealth. Real wealth. Real wealth that is long lasting, that creates economic upward mobility for generations. I believe the patent is generally for about 100 years. Excuse me, anyone in the live chat or anyone in the replay chat can talk about how long patents last, but patents do last, I believe, close to 100 years that you have a patent before the technology can be used without giving any royalties to the families themselves, which means that their patent, if this information is correct, would expire in 2069. Which means that Norma Brown and Albert Brown Jr. and all the other Brown descendants will still be eating off this money from 1969 well into 2069, and should be wealthier if they're building this off this income correctly. That's what I'm saying. Build skills and build businesses. Because again, you want to make sure that one thing she could have done, and I'm just being a little, critical here, is she could have built a system that we know as Brown Security Systems and then sold it at large with $1 billion company. The home security business is expected to be $1.5 billion business, and it's expected to triple by 2024. I'm sure she had no clue that in less than 60 years, she would see it, the home security system, enter into the handheld cellular device. And these people are walking around saying most people don't know grandma's responsible for this. So is grandpa because he helped hook the system up too. Back to me, folks. Don't forget to donate, folks. Ancestry Lands on Venmo, $ Ancestry Lands on Cash App. Please, folks, like and share and subscribe on the screen. On the stream, we try to broadcast Monday through Friday. I try to hit around this time, the afternoon time, the after lunch time, because I like it being live lunch with Uncle Phil. Our job is to give you some news, to talk about things, to be supportive of communities. Our job also is to talk about things that can educate and enlighten and entertain you nonetheless. I hope you've been entertained. We're also talking about the legacy of people in Black history that Black folks need to stop making excuses for. And also, this may shed some light on potential white business owners for not passing up a potential Black employee that can add great value to their companies at large, or a Black business partner that you might be on the fence with. But remember Franklin McKinley Jones. Remember Lewis Latimer, who worked with Con Edison. Remember Mrs. Marie Van Brittan Brown and the Brown family alike, that you might be passing up someone who could create a billion-dollar industry for you. That's the potential with a Black employee or a Black business partner, not the community they have access to. You don't need to see them as that. You need to see them for their own inventive and creative and innovative process. But again, this is what we should be presenting to the world at large as who we are as African Americans inside the United States. This is what we should be presenting to them, where we're in demand and dominating industries. This is what I'm talking about as far as dominating industries, folks. Not being pawns and puppets in the industry. Not trying to put out no voting, no effing, or whatever that is. Not putting out stupid stuff like that. Because again, I want to ask you, what did the voting, no boxing, that ain't what you're giving it up for. What is it doing to help the actual community? What education are you giving the actual Black community on things or legacy factors that are matter to the Black community? Or is it we just pass along another vote? And again, this needs to change. You need to be educated on where you come from. Because if you don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going. And if we don't stand today for something, we're going to fall for anything in the future. Anything in the future. I am your host, Philip Davis. Let me give my closing statements here, folks. We talked about Moonlite Bunny Ranch class, people destroying their lives. Moonlite Bunny Ranch issue over night workers, women of the night, ladies of the night. You can call them ladies. Arguing over Marks, Tricks, Johns, and whomever else. And obviously, they had to get that gunplay involved. You know what I mean? I don't know who it was. Somebody famous or what, whatever it may be. But apparently, they had to get the gunplay involved, folks. Bunny Lit Ranch in Nevada took SWAT team 3 hours of tax dollars to get this woman who was holed up in a room. All 90 pounds of her. Are you kidding me? We talked about the fact of whether you should bring a dog into a grocery store. Is that a health risk? Comment in the chat below, folks. We talked about the Playa del Carmen down in Mexico, the high crime that the Mexican authorities are concerned about. Going down to spring break, please take some caution. Young college girls of all races, you need to walk and be in groups, watch and monitor the alcohol intake, and do not leave anyone behind. You need to protect yourself, and the parents need to have a communication relay system in order to make sure you are not sending your daughters and sons out into harm's way to be victimized by the local community. This is spring break coming up. We talked about 27.4 billion being sent over to Ukraine, while the local residents of East Palestine, Ohio, are getting no visits from Joe Biden, but he managed to spend tax dollars to take an international flight over to Ukraine for President's Day to send them another $500 million worth of aid. And the black mayor, I don't know if anybody knows the mayor is black, but again, here we are bringing more news to you. Maybe that's why, again, maybe he's waiting on Kamala to go out there to talk to him. You know, it's a black thing. But East Palestine, Ohio needs help. They need $500 million. You already didn't send them enough war time items. There's no peace being talked about. It's now escalated up to the big N-word being talked about on the table. Good job. But just send them more up there. And again, who has East Palestine locked down that we can't talk about it? There's still, the vice president have still not been there. This black mayor is saying, we're welcome for you to come here. But instead of going over to Ukraine to look good on the world scale, you're too busy trying to show them out instead of coming over here and taking care of American people. And then finally on to the late, great Maria Van Brittan Brown, black female African-American woman, inventor, the home security system used by banks, businesses, and home and other places all around the world. A $1.5 billion industry, tripling in 2024. Folks, I am your host, Philip Davis, Ancestrylands. I'm the owner of Ancestrylands. Ancestrylands is a vehicle, a gateway, a doorway for you to have opportunities into ownership. It does not matter what economic strata you come from. If you're a person on government checks, okay, fine, we can still work with you. Our goal is to provide ownership of real estate, not all of that, all the stuff, to actual people who want an opportunity to really own something, one property at a time, one story at a time. We don't just sell land, we sell ownership that I and my wife have put our own money into. We put our own skin in there. We have our own sweat equity. We're asking you folks to go. We have our YouTube videos, tons on the playlist, even in Spanish. We serve our Spanish community. Yes, we do. Because people want opportunities. People want chance at ownership. And not everybody has thousands of dollars to go to the bank and credit to do it. We don't care about that. We're willing to work with you. We retain the title. You make the payments. There's a contract that's signed. And once you make the payments, you're deeded over the property. There are tons of testimonials out there, and we do tons of video of new land owners every time we have them. 11 last year. That's real land ownership. People can go on and build whatever they want for their dreams and change the future of their family to leave their own legacy. Brought to you by Ancestrylands, folks. I had a shave today and everything. I hope I'm looking good, man. I'm trying to work out, keep myself in shape and stuff like that. Not for, all these giggles and stuff like that. Folks, keep yourself in shape. I got to get labs this week. Get yourself some labs. Make sure you do your lab work. Take care of yourself, all right? Don't be worried about trying to look good for anything else. Feel good for yourself, for your own health. Take care of yourself, folks. Keep your eyes open and keep your ears open. Keep your mind open for information like this. Talk to your kids about Marie Van Brittan Brown. If you're a person that has ideas, you're an artist and things like that, reach out to me. I really want to talk to someone who can draw. Let's get a group together talking about how we can create black, actual people from real history that created things that we can create our own comic book characters for. Real good stories, too. Real good stories. I would like to work with Black Sands and talk to them about historical figures like this that have actually done stuff that can be real characters. We got real life Mr. Freeze. This woman here, the real life Cyborg. Bass Freeze is the real life Batman. Louis Latimer is the real Dr. Light. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to change Iron Man or any one of the other previous superheroes. We have our own people to talk about that could be pushed into Marvel, pushed into DC. I'm doing it right here with you folks. Yeah, I do the comic book stuff for the youth people because it can be put into that. Entertainment. But you also are talking about real people that can be remembered throughout the ripples of time. Why can't we do it? I mean, I'm just a land guy who decided to do live streams just last week, and I've already given you, many a character. You know what I mean? We should be talking about the real, actual people, educating our people on history. Any which way, folks, I've got to go to my my kids' parent-teacher conference. Parents, stay involved with your children. Be aware of what's being taught. Reach out to their teachers, fathers included. Black women or women at large, I hope that you've enjoyed this stream talking about a woman who's a creator, a Black woman. Even white women should be proud that a minority woman, created something that keeps single women safe. For the women that are single, that have to be concerned about working hard day in and day out, that may be single mothers too. We should be celebrating Marie Van Britton Brown's invention and her legacy, folks. Don't forget to donate and tune in tomorrow for another show. I don't know what I'm going to talk about tomorrow, but I always try to look for new things to talk about, new perspective, and come up with new showcase a new Black creator. Phil Davis, Ancestrylands. That's all, folks. I got to get ready for parent-teacher conferences. I hope you all having a wonderful and Wednesday. I hope you've been enlightened, educated, and entertained. Remember, this show does not promote hate or harm. We do not want to disrespect anyone. We are here to educate and entertain and enlighten. Thank you for tuning in with me and staying with me this long. Man, we almost did 2 hours again. I appreciate everyone joining the broadcast. Take care, folks. Have a wonderful day. I appreciate it. I'm your gracious host, Philip Davis. Ancestrylands on YouTube, Ancestrylands LLC on Facebook, Ancestrylands on IG, Twitter, Pinterest, TikTok. We're everywhere, folks. Going to be international too one day, I hope I can leave this legacy. Thank you all for being a part of it. Take care.